The Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, was established with Soviet tutelage in 1921. Under the guidance of the Soviet-led Communist International, or Comintern, the CCP cooperated with the nationalists to defeat regional military regimes and to reunify China. Chiang Kai-shek's purge of the CCP in Shanghai in 1927, however, ended the first united front between the two parties. The Communists eventually retreated to Yan'an in north-central China after suffering major defeats at the hands of nationalist troops. In Yan'an, Mao Zedong established himself as the indisputable leader of the CCP and initiated a number of rectification campaigns in the 1940s to eliminate party members who challenged his leadership. These violent campaigns became precedents to nationwide purges in the 1950s and 1960s. The CCP also experimented with land reform policies and proved capable of mobilizing farmers into the party's armed forces. The Communists entered the Second United Front with the Nationalists in 1936 to combat the increasing pressure on China from the Japanese. However, in 1941, fighting between the Chinese Communists and the Nationalists resumed. After the defeat of the Japanese in 1945, the CCP and the Nationalists entered into negotiations, but neither side agreed to a genuine power-sharing arrangement. Civil war ensued. In 1947, increased Cold War tensions between the U.S. and the Soviet Union in Europe led to Harry Truman's decision to limit aid to the nationalists and to refocus U.S. attentions on Western Europe. Stalin, on the other hand, increased material and equipment aid to the CCP in 1948, when CCP won a number of victories against nationalists in northeast China. Although China's post-war domestic economic woes also exacerbated tensions between the national government and Chinese civilians, leading to urban unrest, the Civil War was basically decided on the battlefield. In October 1949, after the Communists' takeover of Nanjing, the capital of the national government, Mao Zedong proclaimed the establishment of the People's Republic of China in Beijing, Tiananmen Square. The nationalists retreated to Taiwan by the end of the year. In the first years of the PRC, Mao implemented an ambitious first five-year plan from 1953 to 1957 on the Soviet model, centering on military industrialization. Although he had promised a new democracy of multi-party rule, the Chinese Communist Party dominated all parts of the new state. Although some of his colleagues saw the mixed economy of private and public sectors, by 1956 all private businesses were coerced to give up their assets to the state. In agriculture, farmers were forced to give up private plots to form first cooperatives and then communes. The state, for the first time since the Tang Dynasty, owned all the land. In 1956, in part due to setbacks in the implementation of the five-year plan, Mao began the 100 Flower campaign, inviting intellectuals to critique and reform the CCP. However, Mao felt threatened by the fierce criticism leveled against the regime and ended the campaign with the persecution of 500,000 intellectuals in 1957 and 1958. Having routed critics from inside and outside the party, Mao introduced the Great Leap Forward, far more radical in vision than the first five-year plan. To promote much higher yields of industrial output, the Great Leap Forward focused on increasing agricultural production dramatically, transforming farm cooperatives into large-scale people's communes. From 1959 to 1961, these coercive policies triggered the worst famine in world history, resulting in the deaths of between 30 and 55 million Chinese, most of whom were farmers. Acknowledging the failures of the Great Leap Forward, Mao left Beijing and retreated to the second line of leadership, though retaining his chairmanship of the party and its military commission. Liu Shaoqi took over the control of the government until 1966, when Mao instigated the Great Cultural Revolution, a mass movement intended to produce a new generation of young revolutionaries and to eliminate Mao's rivals in the CCP and elsewhere. The Cultural Revolution involved the active participation of youths and ordinary citizens in urban and rural China. By late 1967, the movement became increasingly violent and unmanageable. Mao, with the support of the People's Liberation Army, established revolutionary committees as new forms of government in the cities and the countryside. He also removed youth from the cities and imposed state control over the movement. But violence against revisionists continued. Although Mao declared an end to the Cultural Revolution in 1969, the movement did not truly end until after the death of Mao in 1976. Was the Maoist revolution a success? Was it necessary? Why did the Cultural Revolution happen? Could anyone in 1949 have predicted the violence and chaos of the 1950s and 1960s? Please take a look at Part 9 of China X.